Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the BISCA Awards. BISCA Awards are the British Imams and Scholars Contribution and Achievement Awards. This is a grassroots initiative led by an amazing young team to provide a platform for and really celebrate the diversity of Imams and Scholars, young, old, all from different backgrounds and walks of life, and really recognizing their achievements and encouraging the next generation.
Jazakumullah khair for coming to the BISCA Awards 2015. This is a night to celebrate and recognize the achievements of our many Imams and Scholars based here in the UK.
The role of Imams and Scholars is very important within society because they are the pillars of society.
Imams are contributing agents to society. They are inspiring role models for so many young people, and it's really recognizing some of the amazing work.
We are blessed to have a very many number of our scholars and Imams from up and down the country here with us today, and we are also blessed to have a great number of them speaking here today to give us some of their insight and their wisdom.
It's also important because there are so many Imams and so many scholars that are from completely different backgrounds, with different schools of thought, and different movements, etc., all coming together with the same purpose, all loving each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters.
And I think the categories which have been awarded highlight the different areas that the Imams are working, benefiting not only the Muslim community but also the wider community.
Celebrate and recognize first and foremost those individuals who are making those key contributions to making our society a better place.
There's many challenges that Imams face when they're serving the community. It can get depressing sometimes, it can get difficult sometimes, it can get very challenging, you get criticized. But when people recognize and benefit from your work, that gives you motivation as well.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa walah. My respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm quite privileged and honored to be asked to speak here today on this in this event, and I thank Imam Abdullah and his team for organizing such a needy and timely event to celebrate the amazing brothers and sisters who are in many ways heroes in society, heroes because they are actually doing a lot of work and a lot of great efforts, and very rarely are they recognized.
We need to come together and celebrate and recognize those valuable contributions that the Imams and Scholars, mainly female, they're contributing in our country to make our society a better place for all.
There is somewhere in the back of our heritage or culture, which is to, when you praise somebody or you recognize them, you are actually doing them a disservice, and maybe that's an ill-informed position to have, but certainly I hope that today is a beginning of this kind of recognition that those Imams and sister leaders who actually inspire others to do good deeds and provide a service to the community which we need today.
All the work you do in the community, it doesn't go unheard, unseen. There are people who actually appreciate it.
We shouldn't make it an event where we are just praising the work of Imams, because then that will go into the dimension of Riyah, showing it off,
People sent in their nominations for the different categories which we'll go through today. Then out of those nominations there was a shortlist created, and BISCA then with their panel of judges chose the winner of each individual award. Each individual award is sponsored by a charity or BISCA itself, and the first award up today is an award for the outstanding contribution to charity work.
And there are hidden gems around this country, and I think this BISCA Awards will help recognize these Imams.
It is more about showing the good work, and that Islam is about doing good work.
Charity is a fundamental pillar of our deen, and every single one of us are an embodiment of that, through us as donors, through us as supporters, through us as workers in charity. But Imams, they take lead in supporting our work, in supporting our activity, but also setting up their own activities. They raise the awareness of those in need around us, those that we have to support, those that we provide the aid for. They remind us of why we are doing it. They renew our intentions. They work with us as guidance. They come with us and support our tours. They help raise funds and they help deliver the work. And the Imams support us by going out to see our work in the field. Then they come here and then they go on tours with us to help raise the money. They advocate our work to yourselves, to donors, to potential donors. And they tell you about what work we are doing out there and tell you about the need from the beneficiaries themselves and the thank yous from the beneficiaries themselves. So we'd like to congratulate every single nominee for this award. And the winner for the outstanding contribution to charity work is Sheikh Zahir Mahmood.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullah to Penny Appeal. I don't know why I got this award for. I mean, I don't really give too much in the path of Allah, not as much as I should. Alhamdulillah, it's the husn al-zan and the positive thinking of my brothers that they've awarded me this award. The reality is all praise goes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I hope that it is a source of encouragement for other people to involve themselves in the work of charity. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ said that you should spend with your right that your left doesn't know. But the reason that we stand there, possibly take the award, is so that it's a source of encouragement for other brothers and sisters that they do this work of charity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make my standing here a source of encouragement for me and encouragement for you. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never send a messenger to a people except that he spoke the tongue of that people. The tongue doesn't just mean the language, but it also means the culture, the miasma, the environment, the subconscious culture that people have. That's really, really important. Otherwise, it's difficult to communicate, and it's difficult also, you can't import a ruling from 500 years ago without really knowing what's happening on the ground.
The Imam's position in this environment, in this country, is very important indeed. It's more important, more demanding more important than the Imam in a Muslim country. An Imam in a Muslim country, if he fails, not much harm, because the whole society is Muslims, there are schools, there are everyone. But here, if the Imam fails, who do we have to teach? The families and children. We don't get that from ordinary English school or the television or so on. The mosque and the Imam. What we need is that new commentaries on the Quran for the Muslims and non-Muslims in the 21st century living in the West. We need to be here, otherwise people will not listen or will be irrelevant. Even young Muslims will consider anyone who remains attached fully and completely to the past and doesn't want to live in our time, we will become irrelevant to them.
Our next award is the BISCA Award for Outstanding Contribution to Dawah.
Alhamdulillah, I guess I'm reiterating what some of the speakers have said before, that I don't see myself any more worthy than any one of you, subhanallah. I don't know what to say really, except Allahumma la tu'akhidni ma yaqulun waj'alni khayru mimma yadhunnun waghfir lima la ya'lamun. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
I think most of us recognize the difference in shape, color, tongue and form. But what we have to recognize as well is that there's different minds. And there are people who are different in thoughts. And there are people who are different in their ability to understand and derivation. And when you look at the great scholars of the past after the Prophet ﷺ, and you can see how they deduced and understood things, that shows that in reality humans are not uniform in the way that they look at things.
It's important for the Imams and the scholars to relate to the British society, because this is where we live. And this is our message, has to be translated in our language. And in the beginning of Surah Ibrahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمٍ. We've never sent a messenger but in the language of his people.
If your Lord willed, He would have made the people as one ummah. uniform, all in the same. But the reality is, وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. They continue to be different. And this is not just that it is a negative thing, but in fact this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a sign of His greatness. And I think this is the importance here, is that we have in our Imams and we have in our scholars this derivation of different understanding.
I think this diversity will bring criticality with it, and I think better than looking to diversity within the Muslim community as a something for a conflict, I think it's time now to reflect upon it. This is the reality. We cannot be one, the same thinking. I think it's time to see what people, what do they share, and how can they promote the goodness within them for the future, and to be critical about the challenges they're facing them, and are they part of those challenges, and how can they do better for the future. I think it's time now to overcome the sectarianism and to think about there are lots to share, and to think about this to go forward.
I've been asked to speak about unity and uniformity, and I just start off with this the quote by Professor Tariq Ramadan, where he says that the universality of Islam is not uniformity, it is unity with diversity. And this is something that the Quran teaches us, this is something that the Prophet ﷺ emphasized.
So scholars and imams, they educate the future generation, male and female. So if they are recognized and if they are united in one voice, then that we move as a community with one voice.
So when the young brothers and sisters, when they go through any alim course, whether here or abroad, how can we train them? How can they work under supervision?
Just by being together, we broaden our horizon, or else a lot of us are working in our own kind of environments, closed environments, and we really don't get exposure to anyone else. And if that's the case, then that kind of breeds intolerance.
But if there is no supervision, if there is no training, if there is no mentoring, then we will have problems even among the upcoming imams and scholars, because there is no guidance for them.
A community, a group of people that can relate to young British Muslims and also the elderly generation in this country, but at the same time they can actually relate to the wider society. On the one extreme we have a narrative, a tiny minority is holding that narrative, whereby they're very much into this mentality of us and them. The Muslims need to be enclaved, isolated, because we are not like them and they're not like us.
As Muslim in the UK, I think being united, coming together, we may have differences, we may have fiqh differences, aqidah differences, but as long as we are Muslims, I think we need to set aside those mundane and trivial differences and come together and make this country a better place and prosperous place for all, inshallah.
On the other extreme, we have a narrative whereby Muslim people were born Muslims and also are Muslims, but they're so disappointed with the cultural baggage and cultural practices of Muslims. If you like, the bridge between the two agents, the two aspects of our society, a vibrant, dynamic scholars group would be one that's united, maybe not uniform, but united on some of the key issues that are affecting us, and can provide very coherent and clear guidance on those issues. Then we have a narrative amongst young Muslims, very reactionary, very agitated, very open and vocal about what's happening globally. And then we have a narrative that's held by the majority of the Muslims, who are not speaking out, who are not really expressing themselves. They are on the one hand disappointed as to what's happening politically, socially, morally, and by the same token they're too focused on their own individual lives. And that's the narrative that I want to focus on. What are the middle Muslim people thinking? And what is it that they want to do? What is it that they want to achieve?
It is essential and it is imperative that we support homegrown imams and scholars because they understand the terrain, they're local, they're the people who are going to be the ambassadors of Islam, they're going to be the first port of call. I was reading a verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Araf today where Rasulullah is being told that you are a warner, you've been given clear guidance, and there has been no nation without a prophet who came from within themselves and who died with their own community. And if we are to become the ambassadors of the last of the ambassadors of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we need to be local and homegrown.
Alhamdulillah, we live in a very advanced and progressive society. We are very much connected through Skype, through WhatsApp, as if, as I was returning even at the airport, I was in contact with everyone. So it is very much connected. But yet, humanity is very much disconnected with the divine connection. Although we are very much connected, but we are divinely disconnected. There is a disconnection between us human beings and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
A huge bulk of the Quran and Sunnah speak about unity. Unfortunately, we get divided on very petty issues that influences the general public and it divides them. So we face many challenges in today's society, and it's imperative that the ulama get together, they have a goal, they have a vision, and they take the community with them.
But as for the future scholars, how can we support them? The imams are not just leading prayers at the mosque, but they are also actually doing a lot of community work. And when we actually showcase those different activities that are being done by the imams, then inshallah our younger generations will be inspired, and inshallah they will take up this noble profession, noble career, which will inshallah make them successful in this world and in the hereafter.
It's important to contribute and support to and encourage homegrown, so-called homegrown imams, because they understand the realities that we live in. They've not imported a knowledge from outside. Even when they're learning, even if they travel abroad to learn, always in the back of their mind there's a context to what they're learning, and it's very different.
And this is being awarded to Sheikh Haytham Tamim.
To train ourselves, train our youngsters, train our community, to control their anger, to do good whatever the circumstances are. So he's sallallahu alayhi wasallam teaching us how to live by our principles, not to be provoked. And we are easily provoked. Cartoons from here, and that stupid person from there, and so on and so forth. Our energy as ummah is being lost in the narrow lanes, and lost in something which is not useful. It's very easy to be trapped. So we need to find our direction and follow. Again, we need to get our house in order, our basics right again.
Prophet, peace be upon him, said that the prophets do not leave anything to their families in terms of wealth, but what they do is they leave knowledge to be inherited, and the scholars and the imams are the inheritors of the prophets. So they have a great responsibility towards their communities to ensure that they educate them in the correct way.
It's absolutely important for scholars from diverse backgrounds, those who speak diverse languages, those who hold diverse opinions, to come together to show unity to our British Muslims. But also, this is what the prophetic sunnah is, that we put aside our differences, but we come together because the challenges are much greater, and especially in the coming months and years, those challenges are going to multiply. And if we are just focused on our frivolous and very superficial arguments, we're going to lose our young people. We're going to actually alienate the young Muslims, and also really present a very bad image of Islam to our own community as well as the wider indigenous community.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Like me, I'm sure you agree, you're sick and tired of seeing in the headlines of extremists, terrorists. So it's important that we play our role in the media to play the positive messages and spread the beautiful message of Islam.
So we need something very refreshing which reflects our identity as real citizens as well as Muslims in this country who's contributing to the British society. The BISCA award is important because it's reflecting a positive contribution rather than the negative contribution which we have all over the media, wherever you go.
Our leaders, our respected elders, brothers and sisters, represent ourselves, the beautiful message of Islam, positively in the media. But the winner of this prestigious award goes to Imam Qari Asim for outstanding contribution to media engagement.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Once again, I'd like to thank the organizers, the sponsors, the participants, and more importantly, those who nominated me without me knowing about it. I would like to dedicate this award to all the Imams who are doing fantastic work in terms of removing some of the misconceptions that exist about Islam in the British media.
This will be something inspiring for other people to follow. They are educating, they are inspiring the community and delivering the message to the communities.
Partly, I've been involved in engaging with British media is to remove some of the misconceptions that exist about Islam. And really the audience being the 60 million people that live in this country. How do we make inroads in their understanding of what Islam is? And how do we, very little drop in a big ocean, that we actually change their perception about Islam? Today, obviously mainstream media, but this one device, small device, that's everyone's pocket. Use the digital space, change the perception of Islam.
A thriving community of British scholars looks like people who are in charge, who are leading other people, who people look up to for inspiration, who people, when they are in a state of despondency, they turn to, who are role models, and they're at the forefront.
I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts whatever humble efforts we make, and I also like to thank my family, in particular my wife, who is a great source of inspiration, and also her sacrifices, I think, have enabled me to do little bit that I've been able to do.
We are the messengers of the messenger of Muhammad and so therefore when society is lost, it's up to it's up to the messengers of the messenger to guide society.
Allah didn't send any messenger to any people except by the tongue or the language of their people, so that things are clarified to them. So they have an extremely important place within society in that they understand the culture, the language of the people. So to support them is extremely important.
Imams have a very critical role in British society. You know, they are doing more and they're more important in British society than perhaps even in Muslim societies, and that's because they are a bridge between the Muslim community and the civic society, because civic society sees them as agents for change, and the Muslim society also looks towards them as role models. And Imams take part in interfaith work, Imams take part in engaging with the government so that they can redirect some of the energies that exist amongst our young people.
Many people think that Imams are just for Muslims, and that might unfortunately be the case in reality. It shouldn't be the case. In theory and in ambition, that should not be the case. And historically, it's not been the case either.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not sure why I've been given this award, but I would like to thank the organizers, the sponsors, the participants, the shuyukh, and all our brothers and sisters for supporting this amazing project.
In terms of da'wah, education and reach, social media is the modern world's sliced bread, is the toaster, is the modern tool. If you don't reach people using this tool, you are nobody, you are obsolete. So Islam must be shared through this media, and that's what we should focus a lot of our time in, inshallah.
What can I say except ask Allah to give us the strength to be able to continue doing this work. It's not the end, it's just the beginning. award is a recognition, but we need a more concerted effort together, united, in promoting the best content in the Muslim world from the Muslim background in one platform.
The Gift of Knowledge Awards for Outstanding Khatib is given to the Sheikh who is eating now, but I will request him to come forward, inshallah. Sheikh Hassan Ali.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, when I heard about these BISCA awards, I thought, we've got a now Muslim BAFTA awards. It does sound very kind of eerie. Especially this award that's been given for the Khatib, because Khatibs talk too much. And the more that we talk, the more we've got to answer for on the Day of Judgment. And if you know that hadith about one of the first people to be called on the Day of Judgment are going to be the Imams or the scholars or those who spoke or were qaris, and they've got to answer for why they did their job.
We have different backgrounds, we have different understandings, different schools of thoughts, different ideologies in some situations. But nevertheless, we are all one body, working together.
There are many people from many, many different backgrounds here today. And we're all eating together, we're all sitting together peacefully, and I think this demonstrates a big achievement within itself for the whole of the BISCA Awards.
In spite and despite all the differences which we have to work and function together as one body. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, that the example of the Ummah in their compassion and the believers in their compassion and mercy is like one body.
This award, I'm actually going to hand over to someone else, and I can see all the Imams are looking at me saying, is that me, yeah? If it wasn't for my wife that allows me to leave the house sometimes 2, 3, 4 times on one weekend to 2, 3, 4 venues and to speak on different issues, then I don't think I'd be able to even receive this reward. So I'm going to actually give it to my wife, who's painstakingly taken a lot of time out to look after my family, my children who are here as well, which I'm not going to apologize, but anyway, I'll give her the award for that.
It's essential that we have Imams and scholars, male and female, from this country, who are born and brought up in this country, educated in this country. They understand the society of this country. They understand the dilemmas of the youth, the challenges of male and female. So they are better placed to come up with solutions, not people from outside this country.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, it's me again. The Imams Against Domestic Abuse is a project was established to tackle domestic abuse within the Muslim community, to raise awareness and to educate the Muslim community about the evil of domestic abuse in various forms within our community.
We need to provide our young sisters role models, and by giving those sisters who are scholars at the moment, teaching a platform, future generation, inshallah, they can look up to them and become like them, if not better, inshallah.
Now, we all know women's role in society is one of great importance. Alhamdulillah, in the early Islamic history, we saw the establishment of Muslim women as scholars, politicians, businesswomen, jurists, and doctors. We can see in many examples in more recent history that Fatima al-Fihri founded the first university in 859 in Fez, Morocco. If we also look at Darda, who is a scholar from Syria, she taught many imams, jurists, and even had the 5th Umayyad Khalif who ruled from Spain to India as her student.
I'm glad to see here people are celebrating female scholarship, and they want to do something for the future for the females, because females are the other wing for the family. We have male and female, and Allah Azza wa Jal said, يا أيها الناس إن خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. So females are responsible like males in their families and in their societies, and therefore looking after them and as well, empowering them is something essential, and I think we have to work on this.
Now, to the award for outstanding contribution to women's empowerment goes to Ustadha Safiya Shahid.
knowledge is light. And the remarkable thing that we observe about our Islamic history and tradition is the fact that we have numerous examples of females aspire to the ranks of scholarship. That this is something that's not only confined to the men, but women can actually be elevated in knowledge. This is something, the door is open for women to really follow and traverse this path, this noble path of sacred knowledge. Moreover, women can give fatwas, she can issue legal edicts. And from my own experience, I know that there's some females who actually prefer to consult female scholars as opposed to the male scholars, sensitive matters that they would rather get opinions from females.
It's kind of sad that we have to encourage this, because throughout history we never had to encourage it. It was just seen as the norm. You know, there were women scholars and there were men scholars, and the men learned from the women and the women learned from the men. Ibn Taymiyyah had women teachers or female teachers. It was seen as something that was absolutely normal. No need to encourage, no need to make up excuses, no need to do any of these things. It was just a normal modus operandus.
And then my colleagues at work in chaplaincy have been great, encouraging me and telling me and reminding me, and most of these were non-Muslims, reminding me for what reason I was coming. It wasn't an award for myself at all. It was, in fact, an award. I come here humbly accepting it on behalf of others. And those others are the people. Those others are those who strive for one another.
We see the interaction that women played with men in such a beautiful and noble way that I feel and I think that that is lost today.
Makes me really, really happy today that BISCA, mashallah, didn't exclude women. I'm glad they remembered us. And it's something to do with the future, I hope, inshallah ta'ala.
And the only way we can reach out to the 50% of our ummah is through female scholars. Yes, male scholars can reach out, but there is limitation. Whereas a women scholar can actually reach out, can actually help and support and guide and teach and educate women better than men in many cases.
We live in a world where we have to adapt to change. Chaplaincy is one of those things where I have learnt incredible things about our Muslim ummah today.
You know, it's paramount that we provide our female scholars, female members of the community, a platform, because many times, many mosques, many institutions, many conferences, many seminars, it's only the male scholars, imams, who are given the platform, who can contribute. But we know there are many female educated leaders within our community who are scholars of hadith, scholars of tafsir, scholars in fiqh and tazkiyah and tasawwuf, who are contributing, teaching younger generation, and they need to be recognized.
30 plus years ago, when I first started to practice Islam, it was different. 20 years ago, it became even more different. 10 years ago, it was even more different. And now, subhanAllah, I can never assume when I see somebody called Muhammad or Abdullah that he is a Muslim. We have to understand we live in a very dynamic and changing world, but it is a beautiful world if we but wish to see that beauty in it. Because with every challenge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the himmat, the ability to be able to take that on board.
A woman that's gone through her own experiences is going to think completely different than a man. So it comes with a completely different outlook and a completely different understanding and a completely different set of skills.
For me, to be given an award, well, I didn't know how hard it was to accept an award until now. I still don't understand it.
In this country, in Britain, we have communities of all background, all shades, all colors, all languages that you can think about. And therefore, in Britain, we need that cross-section of the Muslim representation in the scholars and imams. Alhamdulillah, that's what we're seeing. People of all culture, all background, all languages here present today.
It is not just a award ceremony, but there is a vision behind it, as I mentioned, and the vision behind it is to work with imams and scholars so that they can better contribute in our society, work with mosques, work with organizations, work with different projects that we have in London, outside London, all over the UK, and try and see how we can collaborate together and create a vision, a Muslim narrative for the UK. As we know, there are many challenges we are facing. There are many obstacles that we are going to be facing. And if we are not united, one voice, if we are not carrying the flag of Tawheed, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, united, then the challenges will be drowning in those challenges.
I believe I was the only lay person on the panel of judges. Now, when I say lay person, that doesn't mean I'm not qualified to be a judge. It means I'm just not qualified in the profession that I was judging. I'm by no means definitely not an imam, and I'm not a scholar. In true scholarly fashion, I'm going to disagree with one of the scholars that came before us. I think BISCA is not timely. I think BISCA is very overdue, inshallah.
We have two concepts. Most of us who are sitting here are accomplished individuals, alhamdulillah. The brothers and sisters, our friends, most people are sitting here because they have some kind of accomplishments, some kind of qabiliyat, some kind of ability. Anybody who discovers their potential, their ability, their qabiliyah, uses it to their benefit in this world, whether to their worldly benefits or to whatever benefits. So all those people, mashallah, the brothers and sisters who are gathered here today have qabiliyah. They've discovered a potential, they're trying to help people with it, they're trying to make contributions to the society, to the community, and inshallah to humanity at large.
I think unity is very important, and unfortunately many of our communities traditionally have been very isolated or segregated from each other because of different cultural or ideological backgrounds. So I think for this generation it's really important for the unity of the community, for different imams, different scholars to get together, sit around the same table and share ideas and recognition and motivate each other.
Going forward, inshallah, one of the things that this is really a blessed, that has brought much blessing upon us with the Murtaqa and with this, is the gathering of so many different backgrounds and so many different imams, all with the same objective. The fact that the community is interested in youth work and is focused on it, that's a really important sign. It means that we're taking care of the future generations and we're thinking about them proactively. Truly, 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 this is one of the bounties and blessings of Islam upon us. And the thing that always our enemies try and attack first. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us and unite us in Jannah. Also, one last request is that we remember each other in the hereafter. Inshallah, if I'm not there with you in Jannah or etc., then please remember your brother. Look around, remember your brothers, remember your sisters.
I think it's important for imams and scholars to come together from diverse backgrounds, no matter what kind of fiqh you follow. As long as you are Muslim, you're an imam, you're a scholar, you're benefiting Muslims, you're benefiting the society. I think unity and unity of purpose and getting together as a community is extremely important.
Since 1948 in the NHS, Christian chaplains have been working, but slowly they recognized that there are Roman Catholics also around us, so they took in Roman Catholic chaplains. Then they saw Jews coming into the country, they took on Jewish chaplains. And then in the 80s and 90s, they started seeing that Muslims have also come into this country and they also need chaplaincy.
Remember, they're the backbone and the pillar of our society. They're not just the prayer leaders, but they inspire people spiritually, they provide pastoral advice, they're there as mentors, as friends. So imams and scholars' contribution is essential.
I started as a volunteer 17, 18 years ago. I now manage the chaplaincy department of the largest trust in the country as a Muslim, with Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, different religious chaplains working under me. That would never happen in a Muslim country. Never ever happen in a Muslim country. And that needs to be recognized. So my thanks not only goes to whoever nominated me, but to the host community and the chaplains around the country, Muslim and non-Muslim, for allowing this opportunity. Jazakallahu khairan.
Chaplaincy is an amazing area of work which gives us the privilege, especially someone like myself, to be with the most vulnerable people in society. Somebody who's bedbound, somebody who's suffered a loss, a loved one, a family member, and to be with them, to support them is an absolute privilege. It's an honor, and I think when you help someone and when you are comforting someone and they are comforted by the words that you say or just by your being there, it's something which I wouldn't swap for anything in the world.
In whatever we're doing in this world, and this acceptance that seems to be coming our way from people at least, and these awards and so on, we ask that this is a good sign that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us qubuliyah. But qubuliyah is something that we need to work towards. It needs to be part of our zeal and himmah, our direction and our ambition and our goal in life.
We need to continue our endeavors, continue with our work, be more effective.
Any servant, and this doesn't have to be scholars, this could be anybody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asalahu, ista'malahu, He uses him, He uses that individual, He employs him in His service.
I see Imams and Scholars playing an important role. Their role can only be better and more decisive in society because they are teachers. And not only are they teachers, but they're people who inspire others. So if they understand their role, they can actually inspire individuals to become better citizens, better role models, and also hopefully play an important part in building society.
He gives him tawfiq, divine enablement, to do something before his death, to do a pious act before his death, by which the people around him are satisfied with him.
The more support that they are given, the more recognition that they are given, the more benefit that on a whole that as Muslims we will have. So if we marginalize them, put them to the side, don't give them the support that they need, our communities will suffer. So the more support we give them, enable them to really benefit our communities, I think only our own Islamic societies and society at large will benefit.
SubhanAllah, I think this has great relevance, inshallah, to today's occasion, but more importantly, something that is really great food for thought for all of us.
This is a community of Imams who are ready to sit with each other, a community of Imams who are ready to speak the truth, a community of Imams who have a vision.
There's a statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the part of the statement which I think is very important for us to really ponder over, is that the Sahaba, the companions themselves, وَأَقَلُّ النَّاسِ تَكَلُّفًا, that they were a people who, if you like to translate, they were the simplest of people, and that they took things as they saw it. And for that reason, you find that their differences and them going in different directions was on a very, very small scale. And it is this methodology that I think that one and all of us, in the different responsibilities and the different backgrounds that we all come from, that we should take heed from that. That this great Sahabi, radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, said this statement about the companions and delivering the message and carrying this message from one people to the next.
The word Imam actually means leader. So the Imam has a responsibility not just to lead on the masalla in masjid, but lead in all facets of life. So therefore, the Imams really need to recapture the greatness that the Imam, or the role that Imam once upon a time had, and that was to lead.
So if it is that I have, you want to take what you have taken from my very short moments that I have with you, is that we pay very much close attention to the manner that we are delivering this message, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a time where differences, it is easy to highlight the differences of people, but I'm sure that we have much more in common than most of us think.
It's been an amazing night here at the BISCA Awards. We've had such an amazing diversity of scholars and imams up on stage, showcasing their work and really working tirelessly for the community. It's long overdue that we recognize their contributions.
They've all got a completely different angle. Some of them work with the youth, some of them work with just women, some of them work with just the elderly, some of them are from a Bangladeshi background, some of them from a more Egyptian background or Pakistani or Indian background. They all know something that someone else doesn't know, and like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, the picture gets clearer and more useful when we all come together, we all share our experiences and what we know.
Imams have such an important role in our society, not just for Muslim communities as role models, as visionaries, as leaders, but also for wider society, being gatekeepers, being individuals who can really communicate messages of change.
And in times of difficulty that we are going through now, that unity, going back to those original sources and examples like our beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba and those who followed them with righteousness, is something that we should adhere to as much as we can. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all those who have been involved in bringing this particular event together. May Allah reward all of you. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The inaugural BISCA Awards have brought together so many people. I'm looking forward to see how the BISCA Awards evolve in future years, and I'm also looking forward to connect with all the different winners as well as the nominees, as well as the teachers who have been here tonight, and learn a bit more about their work. I think it's long overdue that we sort of celebrate their contributions and look to how we can learn from each other.
Do you know an imam or a scholar who is doing great work in your community? Do you think he or she deserves to be appreciated and recognized for their contributions? Nominate your local imam or scholar today. Email info@biscaawards.org or visit www.biscaawards.org to nominate, support, sponsor and buy your tickets.